What up, my Bitcoin mofos? How's it going? I'm Toby, and that's Heidi.
Hi.
And we are answering questions from our Patreon group, who, if you want to check us out on Patreon, we have our trade alerts, portfolio. You can submit your questions, and we will try to answer them. Most likely we'll answer them.
Yeah, we have some pretty helpful classes too.
Yeah, really good.
It's called the CT Club, and if you want to join it, there's a link down below in the video description just for you.
Cool. Let's get into the first one, Tether.
Yeah. Do you think Tether will eventually fail since they are not backed by USD as previously claimed? I don't hold USDT, but I do have USDT paired small alts. I'm concerned they could go to zero and that Tether would take down the whole market, at least temporarily. I understand Bitcoin is here to stay, but I think Tether will negatively affect the market. Are you concerned?
No.
I mean, first, I do want to clarify, this seems to be a common misconception with people who are maybe new to cryptocurrencies. They think that if they buy a coin using Tether, they have to sell that coin back into Tether. That's not true whatsoever. Whatever trading pair you're using for that coin, and let's say you use Tether to purchase Ethereum, you can sell Ethereum for Bitcoin, for a lot of different altcoins, a lot of different Ethereum tokens. So you're not tied to Tether in that way. So I think that maybe that's why you think Tether could take down the whole crypto market, is because like if someone bought Tether with it, you have to use Tether. And so, yeah, that would mean like a mass sell into Tether and then out of Tether for some reason. But that's not the case.
Yeah, and also I've been hearing the Tether FUD for about 5 years now, or
like 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
And nothing ever comes to fruition. Like when I first started getting into it, there weren't any other alternatives like USDC, DAI, stablecoins, BUSD, or whatever. So now we actually have different alternatives. So you can actually do a pair. You can go USDT to USDC. So that's probably, if Tether is going to fail, most likely somebody else is going to go to GUSD or USDC immediately and gather as much profit as they can, or at least save what it's worth. And then I think a lot of people actually get into Bitcoin as well, because people are.
If Tether does fail, where would people go?
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm like, well, Bitcoin's not going to fail. Bitcoin's going to be around a lot longer than Tether will ever be around. Mm-hmm. And so that's probably where a lot of people are going to go. And they will also go into USDC, USDG, and all these other stable currencies, which didn't exist prior to this. Pretty much this.
I mean, and not only that, but like we're partial to USDC because it is on it's like on a ton of different DeFi platforms for lending, for liquidity providing. It's pretty popular. So, it's not like it's just Tether and nothing else. And like you said, it's super easy to trade between the two as well. So, and also we kind of see this when Bitcoin price crashes, people are panic selling and getting into a stable coin. You'll often see Tether, USDC break their peg to the US dollar, maybe go to 101 or 102, 105, 107 maybe.
I think 115 one time.
Kind of crazy. And then also similarly in reverse, whenever the Bitcoin price is pumping, these stable coins are dropping in price as well. This most recent pump from 33 to 40, almost 40,000 a few days ago, Tether went to 94 cents, and other stable coins as well dropped in value just because of that really quick movement and really violent volatility. People are moving a lot of money, and these stable coins need to adjust their supply to maintain that peg based on how many people are buying or selling the coins. They need to make it, one-to-one with the dollar. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's going to take down the entire cryptocurrency market. It might make a blip and a dip for you guys to buy in. It's definitely not an indication that the whole cryptocurrency market is collapsing. I don't think it's anything to worry about, like for panic or
Let
anything.
me put it into perspective. I mean, Bitcoin went from under a cent to over $1,000 without Tether even ever being on the market. So consider that. Just like Bitcoin doesn't need Tether. Tether needs Bitcoin. So keep that in mind, and just relax. It's not gonna. If you feel like uncomfortable, like even if you're holding Tether and you're always worried about all the FUD that's always coming out, just switch. There's no reason why you don't have to.
It's a very simple fix.
Tether, just switch. Like I did that. I mean, I just got over them. All right, whatever. I don't want to have to keep up with the news coming out with this. So I'm out. I'll get into USDC or whatever.
Okay, next question. Could you and Toby comment on how Taproot and the Lightning Network will impact user experience with crypto? It's going to impact user experience with Bitcoin because that's where it's actually being implemented. I'm looking forward to getting Andreas Antonopoulos' book on the Lightning Network when it comes out. I know very little about it. So basically, Lightning Network is a scalable solution for Bitcoin or, cryptocurrencies that are very similar to Bitcoin, like Litecoin, for example, basically Bitcoin's testnet. Lightning Networks allows for a type of off-chain transactions to occur, which means you save on things like transaction fees and transaction times. So be faster, cheaper transactions. And there's some assumptions maybe that these are going to turn into Lightning Network hubs, basically. Maybe it's going to turn into a central bank situation. That's definitely, towards the negative of Lightning Network. How popular Lightning Networks, because it's happening off chain, there's some wiggle room for things like censorship of transactions or maybe some funny business. But eventually all transactions using the Lightning Network will be settled on chain on Bitcoin. So there is some permanence there, some immutability when that final settlement happens. But and I recently did a video on Taproot talking about how it's going to bring more privacy to Bitcoin at the foundational level, and also perhaps some smart contract-like capabilities using the pay to Taproot functionality. Also, of course, maybe some cheaper transactions, as well as kind of building on the SegWit upgrade that happened in 2017. So
cheaper and faster.
As a user experience of Bitcoin or of cryptocurrencies in general, ideally, just like what we've talked about with using the internet or using email, you don't have to know how it works. You just know that it's better. You just click a button and that's it. So basically, just like how you interact with Taproot and Lightning Network, it's going to depend on the wallet that you're using, and maybe there's going to be some kind of functionality where you just select, yes, I'd like to engage the Lightning Network for this transaction, or I'd like to use Taproot for this transaction. And so it's kind of going to be really surface level. There's a giant spider just jumped from the camera. Aw, he's a little guy. So yeah, from a user experience, it's going to be cheaper, faster transactions, and you're probably going to have more privacy on Bitcoin with Taproot, but you probably didn't realize that you didn't have much privacy on Bitcoin before. So last question. What are your thoughts on selling at the high end of the bull market, then waiting for the 50 to 80% drop during the bear market to buy back in as a way to accumulate more? Thanks.
So history doesn't always repeat. It does rhyme, as Mark Twain once said. So, 80% drops, it might happen, but it might not happen. Who knows? With the amount of currency that's being printed, and with the amount of billionaires and hedge funds and Wall Street and sovereign nations actually buying into Bitcoin this time, this isn't just a retail game anymore. This is, a global game. And so this is much different than what we've had in the past bull runs before, whereas back in 2017-18 that was all retail, and even before that it was early investors or early adopters. And so the game has changed a little bit as far as 80% drops. Keep in mind that, hey, we had a dip that was 57% dip. That had never happened. We've only gone through bear market or through bull runs, and the pullbacks have only been around 35 to 40%. So this is completely different. Yes, it did run ahead of itself, in my opinion, And that's fine. It's good to have a 57% pullback. That's just normal. And good thing it happened pretty fast too. You don't want it to happen over like a period of 4 years, 3 years. So with what's going to happen now, I don't know. But as far as like holding Bitcoin, I'm going to hold my Bitcoin. Like we are in a different financial position than everybody else, and so is everybody else. So everybody has their certain strategies that are going to help them. For us, we're going to sell our alts, a lot of our alts. We're not going to touch our Bitcoin because, first of all, with all the currency printing that's going on around the world, with all of the craziness that's happening, I don't see any other asset class ever existing in this atmosphere where, you know, we can essentially buy something that is totally ours, that is out of the reach of any government, any other person, unless we willfully give that person this asset. And also, like, regardless of the supply is inelastic, right? We know exactly how much the supply is going to be. And regardless of the demand that is happening around the world, the supply will always be the same. We know exactly what the supply is going to be 100 years from now. Tell me an asset class that has that. So I'm not going to touch my Bitcoin because I know that this thing's going over $1 million, way over $1 million.
Yeah, but also like talking just back about swing trading, as a new investor, I know that from the outside, this seems like a no-brainer. Oh, obviously you sell at the top and obviously you buy at the bottom perfectly. And you could like triple your actual holdings of the coins by doing so. As a newcomer, I'm telling you, you will be, because just from the simple fact that you're not, number one, understanding exactly, most likely, you're not understanding the full weight of what this cryptocurrency space is all about. You are far more susceptible to things like FOMO and FUD. And you are most likely going to be a much more emotional investor. And so that means that as an emotional investor, when it is the top of the bull market, you're going to be thinking it's going to go so much more than that. And it's not. And you're going to keep holding on for that. And that's why, and similarly at the bottom, you're going to think Bitcoin is dead. And no one's ever, it's actually, that was it, missed the boat. It's never going to happen again. And so that's why timing the market perfectly is not widely done by very many people at all. Like successfully, they can try, but a lot of people miss it. So that's why we're always talking about dollar cost averaging during accumulation phases. I mean, we're dollar cost averaging Bitcoin much more frequently than that, but in times like this, where prices are in a range, like they're range bound, we're going to start picking more up in anticipation of the next bull cycle. And similarly, when we're thinking it's the top or nearing the top, we're seeing the profits that we like to see. We're going to start chipping away at our altcoins, taking profits and accumulating it back into Bitcoin.
And we'll let everybody know on our Patreon exactly when we do that.
And also, just for those of you who are thinking that you have, you're like you got your finger on the pulse of the market, you know exactly when the next top is going to be. Please don't, none of this is financial advice, but just I'm always erring on the side of being conservative. And that is like not to sell all of your crypto where you think is the top in an anticipation of being able to buy that same amount of cash worth, but many more coins worth when it drops down. Because if you do mistime it, you are out. You missed it. It's still going and it might not return where it was before, especially if this is something like a super cycle, which is what Toby was kind of touching on. We've talked about it a lot the beginning of this year, like in January and stuff, and Kent has talked about it as well, is what if Bitcoin is, because it's kind of pushed past this initial like retail individual type phase into more, huge institutional type investing, what does that look like for the price movements as well? Is it a completely different pattern now? And if that's the case, and you think it's the same as it was before because, it's always performs the same exact way, you might screw yourself over and actually end up not holding any of the super valuable cryptocurrency that we all wish to hold more and more of. You might have to start fresh all over again at a brand new price point, and it might cost you a lot of money. So always encourage you guys to be conservative and be patient and educate yourself, because this space gets so much better when there's more educated and intuitive investors participating in it. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and hit subscribe if you haven't yet, to get more videos like this coming out every day.
Yeah, and stay disobedient. Don't follow the sheep. Follow us instead. Bye.
Bye, guys.